Alright, here we go. Welcome back to Nick Lenz's Comic Corner, classic, that's non-classic. This episode number 2810 and Doubleshot 2604. 2704. First up we have is from Martian Manhunter, his second and by far his final trade to collect issues from this run. Yes, as far as I know, they have released no more trades this run. That being, this is Martian Manhunter by John Ossmann, Volume 2, Rings of Saturn, with the trade to collect issues 10 to 17, and issue 1. I thought it was a 22, but I was thinking maybe a second trade for Spectre, but I read the 22, and so basically I'll discuss this trade, plus also issues 18 and 22. So, also I'm going to discuss some Hawkworld as well. Yes, the Hawkworld ongoing series. Yes, now, the first issue published here is not drawn by Tom Mandrake. Nope, they replaced him for a few issues. So, yeah, basically, we have this woman break into John Jones' office. We see, looks like John taking out, looks like, in combat, looks like Ice. Of course, being brainwashed, look like, they say he's Dr. Samad. But it looks like, oh my gosh, it's like I see this guy. The first thing I think of is Baron Shamini from James Bond Live and Let Die. Yeah. Does it look like Baron Shamini to you? Yes. Hey, maybe call Dr. Shamini. But that's Baron Shamini from the James Bond movies. It's like, okay. Oh yeah, let's get Fire a very similar outfit that Thorn wears. So at the fight, and then of course you have Fire just hang out with some woman in look like Brazil. And then we see looks like in this cover is like Elba Verdad. What looks like that Fire might be a relationship with Martian Manhunter. They're not. Then he fights some armored people in this issue. Like, I appreciate the fact that Jonathan brought in a Fire, and then all of a sudden we see. Look, I think this is Cameron Chase, and he's talking to Roy Thomas creation, Director Bones. Yep. And that's kind of the end of the first issue here. Moving over to issue number 11, Back to the Future, where it's an issue where we have a flashback of Mars. Well, also we see appearance here by the Alec Holland Swamp Thing, which I believe this may have been the first time Jonathan ever wrote Swamp Thing. As far as I don't think he popped up in his Spectre book. I don't think he's ever written Swamp Thing prior to this, but here he is. It's Swamp Thing. I'm like, that's cool. On the cover, it keeps saying from the pages of the JLA, the Justice League were only in the first few issues, but not in these issues. Nope, they're not here. So it looks like John on Alien Planet. Yeah, he's on Alien Planet here. It's like him going back to Mars for an issue. And then, like, issue 12 is the Day of Judgment tie-in for this book. Yes, Day of Judgment. Which, yeah, this is something indirectly John Ossmann caused. Because, again, the Spectre book, Jim Corkin came up being Spectre. I'll be talking about it in the future, don't worry about that. So, yeah, this is basically just Martian Manhunter facing, looks like Crimson Fire, Vibe, and I think Ice is like, because, yeah, we have basically Tom Mandrake's back on the artwork here, which I love Tom Mandrake's artwork, because people we also see a brief cameo here by some Justice Leaguers. We see Aquaman, we see Black Canary, looking as sexy as ever. Like, oh my gosh, Tom Mandrake does a great job drawing Black Canary. We see Flash and Green Lantern, Vibe, Crimson Fox, Ice, Citizen Steel, who looks different per se. Yeah, and then of course he meets up with Gypsy. Yeah, I think it's Gypsy, who looks like she's wearing the armor she wore from the Task Force series. And then we see Vibe, Ice, Citizen Steel, and Crimson Fox. Crimson Fox, now, here's the thing about her. She was not killed on Martian Manhunter's watch. Oh no. Two of these people were, definitely. Crimson Fox? No, she got killed off in the issue of Starman. Yeah. So it's mostly put just having him fight basically people who died that he knew. I don't think he knew Crimson Fox very well, but he did know the other people really well. As a matter of fact, he was actually friends with Steel. Yep, and then began the Rings of Saturn story arc, which basically takes up the next 5 issues. It's basically Martian Manhunter meeting his 70s replacement, Jen, son of Saturn. Yeah, that's the big thing related to this story. It's basically John Jones. It's like John sort of brought this character back, and we finally have the JLA pop up in this book again. And it's basically him meeting him for the first time. Yeah, and that's pretty much the whole story. It's him interacting with him, which is interesting because, like I mentioned, this guy was supposed to replace John Jones in the 70s, but it didn't work. My guess is people wanted John Jones to come back, but there's that. It's a quick 5-part story arc here, and that's pretty much it for the trade itself, which I give the trade a 9 out of 10, which is really good. But next, we're also going to talk about issues 18 through 22. Yes, we're going to talk about Hawkworld, but think of these issues. Oh, by the way, issue 1 million is basically Martian Manhunter's involvement with 1 million, which leads into Resurrection 1 million. Now, this issue, particular 18, it's the first issue not say from the pages of JLA. We have the JSA guest star, which is interesting. Now, you might be thinking, is this the first time you wrote people like Courtney Whitmore, aka Stargirl, Dr. Fate, Black Canary? Yeah, this is the first time you wrote the JSA, which is basically just basically have a training seminar with Martian Manhunter basically training with the JSA. We even see a brief appearance by, and this is shocking to me because this is a very rare thing to see here. We see, get this, you're gonna love when I say this. We have Martian Manhunter tangling with Jack Knight in one of his very rare appearances outside of his own comic book. Yep. So, but an absolute really fun issue. I personally love it. Now, I've already discussed in number 2 thanks to the events of a storyline known as Jail Ape. So, this one, let's go All for One, which I think that they may have started in issue number 18, but yeah, it's basically just a conclusion to team up with the JSA, which, fun. I enjoy it. Okay, so after he teams with JSA for a couple issues, it's like, okay, let's have a team up with
the artist.
Let's see here. Next, you have a team up with Superman. Yep, Superman. It's called Revelations. I think it's a quick 2-parter. It's basically Martian Manhunter basically dealing with, like, having basically flashbacks to reading Superman's memory about the destruction of Krypton. It's basically him taking with the JSA cast, with the Superman cast, which is really, it's a standalone issue, and they move on to issue number 22, where 21 he teams up with Green Lantern. Not just any Green Lantern, Abin Sur. Yes, yeah, big time traveling here. He teams up with Abin Sur. But I'm basically gonna stop with the next issue. I think that Revelations issue 2. I think it's the final issue. Let me take a look here for this one. Oh, it's okay, so it continues in part 3 here. Oh, I should have continued on more because this story goes on for several issues, which I'm only going to stop issue 23 because basically the 22 because main reason why, because that's as far as I got with it. So I'm going to stop there, but yeah. Teaming up with with Abin Sur. Like, that was, reading this is unexpected to me. Abin Sur was a flashback, but it's like, yeah, let's just have it where teams with Abin Sur for an issue. We have Tim Truman in the artwork here, which is really good, by the way. And then 2022, he teams with Batman. We also see one of his supporting characters, Diane Mead, who is basically like an old character from his old book from the 50s, and she was brought back to this book. Thank you, Jonathan, for bringing her back. This is the issue to brought her back, and she's not around very long. She's around from this point forward, but this is the issue to brought her back. But as for the main issues themselves, for Martian Manhunter, really good. Give the issues a 9 out of 10. Hit him with a trade. Next up, we're going to talk about some Hawkworld. Yes. Now, the series is only 32 issues. We're only discussing here the first 16. And number 1. Now, I should point out, though, Jonathan writes his book too. But, here's the thing. He has Timothy Truman on the co-artwork duties. But he leaves after like 9 issues. But, also, love that cover here. Yeah, Timothy Truman is not doing the artwork here for this one. Nope, it's, Now, the artist is quite surprising here. It's Graham Nolan. Yes. So most for these issues, first issue, just recapping a little bit of basically what happened in the Hawkworld miniseries. Now, if I read, John S. Renner did not want the book set on Thanagar. He wanted to go to Earth. So that's the reason this runs on Earth. So they had them leave Thanagar, look for Beowulf, who is on Earth. And you can think of the opening issues as a continuing a storyline from Hawkworld. Plus, you gotta love this artwork here. It's so good. So, they have an apartment here. I think it's in Midway City. Yeah, and then pretty much basically, like, we have next one, The Coming of Hawkman. Yeah, and this issue here, they go to Earth, flying on their spaceship. Hawkman and Hawkwoman go to Earth, where they establish their old identities. And of course, they establish Hawkman, Hawkgirl. Now, little fun fact about the next volume. They do meet another Hawkman, which I'll get to. I want to talk about. Basically, they're on Earth dealing with Beowulf. And this is a whole story arc dealing with them. And of course, they also have to interact with the police here. And by the way, the annual itself, I should point out though, comes between issues 6 and 7. Yes, for some reason, DC decided to do this. But by the way, this annual has nothing to do with any crossovers, because this book came out in 1990. Yeah, so then they fight aliens in Midway City. Of course, they shoot them. Of course, they interact with the police in here, which of course they even have an interview with them a bit later. Oh, what about the annual? The annual, which is written by John S. Renner, and this is basically their team with the Flash. Yep, their team up with, I believe this is supposed to be Wally West in this issue. Yeah, Hawkman of Two Worlds. Yes, written by John S. Renner. Temperature has nothing to do with the writing here of this issue. It's Gary Kopech, I think it is. It starts out like Africa, but I do appreciate, now team aspect can come a little bit later, where they deal with various people, and of course, Flash doesn't show up like halfway through the issue. Yeah, that's what you get for a team-up issue for Hawkman, or Hawkworld. Of course, he beats up like you have Hawkman being a pervert, and it's slow as at Hawkworld, then eventually, like, then finally Wally shows up here. Yep, you know it's Wally because of the redhead. I think he's here with Linda. Then, of course, the Fiddler. Oh boy! Here's the Fiddler, and he's old! Like, really old. Old Jay Garrick, of course, fights him. Yeah, this is when eventually they work out together. Yeah. Yeah, this is the annual where they kind of interact with Hawkman, Hawkgirl, where they steal their costumes. Yes, they steal their costumes, make the public debut wearing these silly costumes, and it's the one to fight the Fiddler. Yeah, it's a really fun annual. But it's kind of interesting. You have Carter Hall and Shira just hanging out in their apartment, and they get punched out by the Hawk, by two Thanagarians. Yeah, in case you're curious though, Truman leaves with issue number 8. Yes, that's when he leaves the book, sadly. But that is also the end of the Bialis story arc. Yeah, this is also issue 8. This is the last issue he writes. This is where they have the interview with the police officer. Of course, they have to wear the uniforms, and they're, yeah. But it's a really fun issue. We have Bialis shapeshift into this, which that's basically also. I think of it as, I think Graham Neal playing a clear nod to Silver Age who transforms into that, which, yeah, Bialis transforms into that one here. Oh, and I thought issue 8 was inclusion. No, it was issue 9. My mistake. Yep. So yeah, they wrap up the storyline with this very issue here. Which, yeah, does Bialis die? I think he's taking the custody. And of course, they move on from there. What happens with, of course, issues 10 to, like, 16? Well, it's basically, like I mentioned, Timothy Truman is off the book. Graham Nolan's by himself now. And it is mostly put just them fighting crime in Midway City. That's what they do. And of course, people have image consulted about their outfits, because their outfits they have, they're all police uniforms from Thanagar. And then the issue ends with Shira Thal meeting her grandmother. And get this. She finds out her mother is the original Shira Thal, which she's like, wait a minute. She died when I was 10. She was 23. Yeah, that's because she gave birth to you when she was 13. Yep. Oh, love this cover here. Whoever this artist is, he should get an award for how good these covers are for Hawkworld. It's so good. Yeah, and while Hawkman's deal with Hawkgirl's deal with that, then we have some party going on here. Meet the Black Hawk Express, which great include the Blackhawks in here, which I think that's really smart on the part of Oswender, because after all, they're kind of Hawks too, so why not? An explosion of the plane here, and of course they're... Yeah, by the way, the whole image of seeing you have basically them wearing this armor, it's a product of the 80s, so why not? It's more really good stuff here. And of course, Bialvis is still kind of there, but the initial story is kind of wrapped up with issue number 9. And then issue 13, John Ostrander brings in a character he previously wrote over in Firestorm. Firehawk makes guest appearance as she is. Firehawk does, which is interesting because I think this was, at the time, probably her first appearance that she's made in the comics. Probably since the end of the Firestorm book, which Ostrander wrote that too. Which, I'm going to review that in the future, don't worry about that. Because that's a book I really want to talk about for some time. Yep. And then with Thanagar in issue 14... No, it's no invasion. It's basically, well, kind of anyway. So we have more Thanagar stuff here. And then basically, here's the thing. 15 and 16 are part of the War of the Gods crossover. Yep. Excuse me. 15 is part 4 of the story. And 16 is part 16 of the story. Which, in these issues here, it's basically their involvement with War of the Gods. Like, them being shot at because they're associated with Wonder Woman. And there's a policeman based in... Oh, and also in issue 16, like, Wonder Woman's wanted for something. And, of course, basically Hawk Woman gets involved here. I do enjoy these issues, per se. And they kind of basically blended with the Wonder Woman issues. Where, throughout these issues, Hawk Woman and Wonder Woman become very good friends over the course of these couple issues. And that's pretty much it to talk about here. I really enjoy Hawkworld. For the first 16 issues, I give these issues roughly a 9.5 out of 10, all with the annual. Now, next time we'll talk about both these books, for Martian Manhunter and for Hawkworld. I'll be capping off Martian Manhunter Volume 2 and Hawkworld Volume 2. Well, pretty much the whole series. And then after that, it's basically Hawkman Volume 3 for Hawkman. Martian Manhunter just miniseries, and then Volume 4, and that's it for him. Uh, Someone might be asking, what's planned to replace Hawkman when I finish up his stuff? Honestly, now, Martian Manhunter, I'm going to announce this here, that when I finish talking with Martian Manhunter, I'm going to replace him with Wonder Woman. Yes, that is the immediate plan. But what about Hawkman? Well, the ad when I finish that, I'm replacing with Firestorm because I'm doing Adams soon. But what about Hawkman? I'm going to replace him with another another science-based character, who only has one book for him, and that is Captain Atom. Yes, I'm going to talk about Captain Atom, which is only one book. Actually, it's one book in like 2 miniseries, but won't take very long for him. But what is he going to play us with? You'll find out and see. But I'm only going to do Hawk once finish up because, well, sci-fi based characters, why not? In the case of Martian plays Wonder Woman because Found Member Justice League. That's why. Okay. Excuse me. So yeah, that's it. Particular view. Please be sure to like, comment, subscribe, turn notifications, and do not hit this like button. So there might be another video coming later. Who knows? Depends on getting more stuff done. Okay. I do have one more plan I want to do, but I want to finish reading something first. Okay. But see you next video. Bye.